Good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock. I assume the room is ready. This is Mark Lockwood. I'm the chair, but as I'm remote today, I'm going to call a meeting in order and then turn it over to Vice Chair Myers to run the agenda. Thank you.
All right, if that was the call to order, if everybody would rise please, for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's see, are we seating any alternates tonight? I don't believe we are. We have a full house. So if we would start roll call over to my right, please.
Eric Lukingfield, member.
Christine Shinny, member.
Eric Myers, Vice Chair.
Bob Lavitt, member. Steve Muller, member.
Brennan Shahan, member.
Fantastic.
And Mark Lockwood, chair, remote.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mark. Public session. This is the opportunity for the public to speak to any items that are specifically not on the agenda to be discussed tonight. Is there anybody in the public who would like to come forward and speak to an item that is not on the agenda this evening? All right, I'm going to move to Zoom. Is there anybody on Zoom who would like to address the commission on an item that is not on the agenda? All right, hearing none. Last call in the room. All right, hearing none, I'm going to close the public session. Next item on this evening's agenda is to take action on the minutes of July 9th, 2024, and I've looked them over and I found them to be in order.
Motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained?
I abstain.
Very good. We have one abstention. Before we move on to item number 6, public hearings, I have a couple of one change to entertain as well as some other issues to address. We received a request to reorder the agenda. We believe tonight is going to be reasonably lengthy with 4 applications and other work. We have a guest speaker in the house tonight. Our first selectman is here, and I would like to propose that we allow Mr. Mark Fiorentino to present items 8, 9, and 10 to the commission now, and then we will resume with the regular agenda. I would entertain a motion to make that modification.
So moved.
Second.
All in favors?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Opposed, abstained? Motion carries. So with that, I would invite our first selectman to the podium.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for having me, and thank you for moving me up. That's just actually very helpful with my schedule. I promised to be brief, so if it's longer than a minute or two, it's their fault. But I'm ready on all 3 of those items, or however you want me to proceed.
Hit them one at a time.
Do you read them in the record, or you just want me to start talking?
Generally, just speak to them and we'll go from there.
They're not a public hearing, so.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
just read the agenda item.
Okay, I will read the agenda. And the first item that Mr. Fiorentino would like to chat about is Connecticut statutes, section 8.24, referral to acquire property at 229 Mountain Road.
So you have a memo in your backup that explains this, I think, pretty clearly. Just very briefly for you and the audience, you guys have heard about this before. I think this is part of our emergency, the replacement of our emergency communication system for our first responders. This is the acquisition of a tower site that is imperative to that system. Here to answer any questions that you have.
What's the existing tower that's there now? I saw a reference to that in there.
Yeah, as I understand, it's an old private ham radio tower, so part of the project will be to decommission it, take it down, and replace it with this tower.
Okay.
So I've read over the item. It seems to be necessary and reasonably straightforward to acquire that piece of property for the purpose you've outlined. Any other questions or discussion?
Look good.
None for me.
No
Looks like
questions.
it makes sense.
Abby, if you would just give us a process check here about what our commission's responsibility is in these 824 referrals?
Yes, so under an 8-24 referral, the commission is to consider the plan of conservation and development and determine whether or not a proposed acquisition is consistent with the POCD. The findings of this commission are advisory, but it will go back to the Board of Selectmen for a report at their next meeting. So I have noted, after reviewing the POCD, I pulled out 2 points which I think apply. One is maintain the current level of town services and public facilities. The acquisition of this property will allow the installation of a new radio communications tower to maintain current level of services and enhance them. And then the second point is to identify and acquire strategic properties that will benefit the town, and then it names aesthetically, economically, and historically.
Any other questions from the commission?
No questions.
Okay.
Mr.
I
Lockwood?
think it's a good acquisition. The first selectman and the board of selectmen have been looking at improving our emergency communications. And I agree with what Abby said, that this fits squarely in the plan of conservation and development. And I would make a motion to approve this referral to the board of selectmen.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained? Motion carries.
It's nice to be able to make motions.
Moving on to item number 9, which again is an 8-24 referral, acquisition of property at 87 Simsbury Road. Why don't you tell us about it, Mark?
Thank you. Again, you have a memo in your backup that kind of lays it out pretty straightforward, maybe a little bit more color to it and some detail. So as everybody I think is familiar, this is the old Methodist church that's immediately adjacent to Holcomb Farm. It was many years ago part of the farm. Years ago, it was dedicated to the Methodist Church with a deed restriction that if the church ever stopped operating as a church, it would go to the Hartford Foundation. We have been working with the Hartford Foundation to reacquire the property and to reincorporate it into Holcomb Farm. I think the one thing that the memo doesn't make clear that I wanted to point out to you all is that this is at no cost to the town. We're not spending any money on the property. And we have agreements in principle with 2 of our other community partners to help us maintain the property. So we have an agreement in principle which we'll reduce in writing in the next week or so with the Friends of Holcomb Farm to incorporate it into their use agreement so that they can use it as they are with the rest of the farm. And we have an agreement in principle with the land trusts to fund the demolition of the church, if that makes sense, after we acquire it and take some time to look at it. You're probably aware the church was vacant for a while. It had a leaky roof for a while, and so we wanted to structure this deal so that there are no taxpayer dollars involved in either the acquisition or the renovation or the demolition of the property. So we couldn't obviously have done that, like many other things in Granby, without the help of our community partners. So we're confident that those deals will be in place before we actually acquire the property.
Abby, you want to give us some perspective?
Sure. So looking at the POCD, again, there are 2 points that I believe apply to this situation. So the first is preserve and maintain natural, cultural, and historic resources. And the second is preserve our farmlands, existing farm operations, agricultural soils, and farm architecture. So clearly with this property potentially being incorporated into the Holcomb Farm, it'll further preserve agriculture in town.
Great. Any commissioner questions or comments?
No.
Chairman Lockwood?
No, Board of Selectmen have been thinking about this and being thoughtful for property acquisitions. The board has done a lot of work with Holcomb Farm, as this commission is aware of, over the last year plus. And I think this is a Selectmen feel they can get this property, and as Abby stated, it fits in the plan of conservation and development. So if there's no further discussion, I would make a motion to approve this referral as well.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Motion carries. All right, item number 3 is a little bit different. This is an item submitted for commission discussion related to 100 Salmon Brook Street, a proposed battery storage facility.
I'll start off just before Mr. First Selectman that the commission, and Abby, you can clarify the date. The commission did formally receive a letter about this as well, addressed to the commission. Just want to state that, Abby, for the record.
Yeah, and I think that letter is just a pro forma that from the citing council or the applicant, so most of the people in the audience have been following this, I think, so they're familiar with it. But so there is an application to do a battery storage facility at 100 Simsbury or Salmon Brook Road. You guys are familiar with that property. It's doesn't have any direct access to Salmon Brook Street currently, but it's behind the Horses and Hounds. It's immediately adjacent to the Horses and Hounds property. So generally, the project is proposing a storage facility that takes power off the power grid, stores it for periods of time, puts it back on the grid, trying to manage, load issues and those kind of things. The town has no direct jurisdiction over this case. This is a Connecticut Siding Council case. It involves some, in our opinion so far, some pretty significant issues that we need to work through and make sure the town is representative on. I'm sure you're familiar with, there's wetlands on that property. The property is in the aquifer protection zone. And the battery technology, although it's changing, involves some risk and significant risk related to fire and emergency services. So what the town has done, we've hired counsel that specializes in this kind of work. We filed an application with the Siding Council to formally become a party, and that was approved. The immediately adjacent property owners, the 3 immediately adjacent property owners, also filed applications to join the proceedings as parties. Those applications were approved, and then they were consolidated into one working group. We are on the Siding Council's agenda for Thursday, but there's no input necessary or allowed from us. They are going to now reset the schedule. Based on the fact that we're a party, I expect that they will further extend the public comment period. They will certainly extend our period to get ready. We are working with our council to hire some experts in some of those areas so that we can present testimony to the council regarding our concerns. I don't think there's any official role for the Planning Commission to play, but if you have concerns, either individually or collectively, I suggest you can either contact me or the town manager, or Abby can certainly relay your concerns, and we'll make sure that, or you can do it individually as citizens, we'll make sure that you have the link that you need to make comments and the deadline for providing them. We won't know for sure until Thursday what that deadline is because they're gonna extend it. So I think just about everything I know as we stand at this point. This project will move quickly, quicker than we anticipate the larger solar project will move. That project hasn't even been filed yet, but this is a shorter process, so it'll move quickly in the next few months.
Any questions from the commission? Abby, maybe before Mr. Fiorentino mentioned what our role is in this, which is, it appears to listen and maybe provide feedback now or at a later date. Is there anything else to it for us?
Nope, that's about it. And the plans are available on the Siting Council website. If anyone wants to view them, they're full filings. You can see the proposed layout and what that looks like.
So if there's any feedback the commission wants to provide now, have at it. Otherwise, you can send it privately.
Have we hired an environmental person to advise on the battery storage facility? And
we're in the process of doing that now, engaging. The current thinking is that we would engage experts in 3 different areas. One is wetlands. The second is an environmental sort of soil engineer. It overlaps with wetlands, but there are issues related directly to the aquifer that we want to make sure we have that covered. And then we're working on engaging a public safety fire expert on the public safety issues related to the fire potential. So,
Although this falls under the siting council's responsibility, as you've pointed out, they still have to obtain wetlands approval. That's one they cannot get by, or they
they do
can?
not.
Okay.
The wetlands issues will be addressed in the siting council hearing. We will have a wetlands expert. The applicant has to, there are wetlands that they have to mitigate, so they had to make proposed changes. But I suspect that the siting council will consider the wetlands regulations in their proceedings. But our wetlands commission has no direct authority over it.
Anything else?
I agree, Mark, if there's anything that this commission, I mean, we haven't, voted on as a commission, but from my opinion, I support what the town's doing. I think if we were looking at this under our special permit criteria, this commission would have serious concerns. You've mentioned them already in regards to the aquifer protection environments, closeness to residents and the fire. So if we can do of anything, if we need to bring this up more on the agenda in the future, please let us know.
We will. We're going to follow our council's advice on that.
All right, well, if there's nothing further, I thank you for joining our meeting tonight.
Thank you. And again, thank you for moving me up. I appreciate it. Thank you all. I'm not going to stay, but
Okay, so as we get on with the agenda, rest of the agenda, we have some public hearings tonight, but before we start, a couple of opening comments I've discussed with the chair. Tonight is the only presidential debate that's going to be, I believe, for this particular race tonight. There are citizens in this room that would like to be part of that political process. We will be adjourning this meeting promptly at 8:30, plus or minus. Nobody will lose an opportunity to speak. Public hearings will remain open as necessary, and meetings will be continued as necessary. I would ask that when we begin each of the sessions, when we open up public comment for each of the items, that the public limit their comments to 5 minutes or less per individual. And I think we have ample time, thanks to Mr. Fiorentino's brevity, and we'll get through the content. And with that, I would like to get started. And if Commissioner Cheney could read in the, we're going to combine public hearings A and B into a single discussion. So Commissioner Cheney's going to read 2 public notices.
There will be a public hearing conducted by the Planning and Zoning Commission on Tuesday, September 10th, 2024, at 7 p.m. in the Granby Town Hall Meeting Room, 15 North Granby Road, to hear and consider the following items. Application seeking a special permit under zoning regulations 3.12.3 for a professional office and associated site improvements for property located at 254 Salmon Brook Street, CE Zone, file Z-18-24. And an application seeking a special permit under zoning regulations 3.5.4.3.
I'm sorry, it's the next one down.
What's this one?
Yeah.
Application seeking a special permit under zoning regulations 8.16 and 8.6.14 for a restaurant with outdoor dining and live outdoor entertainment, and for an illuminated sign and associated site improvements for property located at 256 Salmon Brook Street, COCE Zone, file Z-20-24. At the hearing, interested persons may appear and written communications will be received. Copies of the proposals are on file in the Community Development Office.
Very good. Is the applicant present?
Yes.
Approach the podium and please introduce and announce yourselves.
Good evening. I'm Brian Deno from Deno Land Surveying, here to speak on behalf of the applicant, John Pagliaro, and Megan Peterson, and I'm also here with consultant Lori DiPatisto. Could we put up page 4, please?
Could you be more specific?
The layout plan. The proposal is to create 2 new office buildings in the existing garage and a coffee shop in the old print shop that's right up by the road. The combined site area is about 1.6 acres. 254 Salmon Brook, which is most of the property, is in the center edge zone, and 256, where the coffee shop is going to go in the old print shop, is in the center commercial or COCE zone, and that's about 0.11 acres. I believe the plans are near the end, the site plans.
I'll just keep scrolling.
Yep, okay.
Don't need to wait 80 days. So,
Keep going. We flooded you guys with information on this one. Maybe the site plans that, oh, they're right near the end of the whole packet. There you go. 2 more pages. 1 more. There you go, there's the layout plan.
okay.
That would be great. The existing house is on 254. That's the large house that fronts on Salmon Brook Street. The garage is behind it, and the existing print shop, which all of us drive by every day just about, is right on the corner of Hartford Avenue and Salmon Brook Street. The proposal is to turn the garage into 2 offices, a downstairs one and an upstairs one, separate entrances, and turn the coffee shop, the print building, into a coffee shop with an outside seating area. As you can see, we show a parking lot that shows 22 spaces, 2 handicap spaces, and per the regulations, with the use in the single-family house, the office, and the coffee shop, we're required to have 15 spaces. So we have more than enough spaces. We have a concrete dumpster pad with an enclosure for everyone's garbage. We're planning on eliminating one of the entrances on Hartford Avenue, the one closest to the intersection, completing the sidewalk, adding a sidewalk to have access into the coffee shop, and widen the entrance drive, and actually make the pavement smaller in the area of the office building, but expand it over by the print shop, the new coffee shop, to have parking for the workers and their clientele. The existing pavement or driveway out to Salmon Brook will remain at this time as a one-way in for people coming in and also to access the house for whoever lives in the house. We've designed a storm system with underground storage between the existing driveway and the parking lot for the coffee shop. We've submitted that to the town engineer, but he has not had time to review it because I was late, because I was away and now he's away. We've added a lot of the comments that Kevin Clark made, like tree protection, made the parking lot smaller, which he asked for. We have capacity letters for sewer for the whole site. We also have water capacity from the Salmon Brook Water District, and the Water District also aided us in laying out the water per the way they wanted it. So that has also been done. The existing house will still remain a single-family home at this time. And I think now John can discuss what his plans are for the 2 buildings.
Before you move off the site plan,
Sure.
just to keep on task here, where is the parking for the residential house?
The residential house will park in the back where those 3 spaces are,
Okay.
and then they have a walkway to get into the house. Right now, if you went back to the existing conditions, it's just a big sea of open pavement in the back with a 10-foot driveway hugging the property line to the east, and our new driveway will keep that footprint on the left and just make it wider by 24 feet. And I didn't mention, but we are also asking for a waiver to the 20-foot setback right here for the parking lot. The existing pavement is actually right at the property line and over the property line in some places. But we want to move it back because it lines up with the building nicely that way. And that the parking lot works that way, but you do have a regulation that says we need to be 20 feet off the road, and we're 17.2.
This is Mark. Well, on the site plan, I did have a question too. The curb cut, you're getting rid of the one that's closest to the old print shop on 189. Is the one that's, I guess, further, I guess you call that east, does that have to be expanded, or is that going to stay the same?
No,
footprint? I was looking at Google Earth.
It has to be expanded from about, it's like 18 feet at the gutter now. It has to be expanded to 20 feet. So that existing catch basin right there in the entrance, that will have to become a flat top. I spoke to the state DOT, and they will not comment or review it until after the town has done their review and approval.
And have you done any, is there any impact? I know the state just redid it, and we got a bunch of new traffic configuration. Have you looked at your basis for making it one-way coming in and going out? I'm sure you can have to turn left or right. Do you have any traffic information?
No, we have not done a traffic study, and when I spoke to District 4, he seemed to feel that our impact is going to be low for this area, and he did not ask for one in our discussion. And his only comment when I discussed the system with the plans with him was he might make us move the catch basin and turn that into a manhole because they're not sure if they want people driving on top of the catch basin. And he says, I talked to him about cutting in the pavement because I had heard rumors that there was a 2-year moratorium. He said they do not do that. You know, as long as it followed all the state rules, they had no issues with what we wanted to do on the curb. Especially considering our sewer is on the shoulder of the road, the water is already off the road. Our only work is going to be to close up that one entrance and widen the other entrance. And another thing the town had asked for is all along Salmon Brook, the sewer line is right next to the street line, maybe 2 feet off. So the town engineer asked if we would give you an easement along Salmon Brook for the sanitary sewer, which we also show on our plan. We're just going to match the 15-foot SNET or easement there, which Kevin suggested that we do, which makes it easier for everyone.
And then this is my last question, and I won't monopolize the time. Your one-way entrance off Salmon Brook, are people going south on Salmon Brook going to be allowed to turn in, or is it going to be kind of like there's some establishments have its, right turn only in from a certain direction so you don't have to cross traffic? You have anything on that?
We would most like to have it just right turn in heading north.
Yeah.
Either that or turn
Okay.
it into a private entrance and don't let anybody turn in there. But I think that's going to be hard to stop people
Yeah.
coming in from the south. I don't think
Thank you.
Yeah.
John Pagliaro, 19 Day Street South, current owner of 254, 256 Sandbrook Street, here with my wife. We're here for a special permit. I'll let her speak to that.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Tara Pagliaro, again, 19 Day Street South. I'm here to petition special permit for the use of office space at 254 Salmon Brook Street. My company is called Links to Learning Incorporated. I'm a speech and language pathologist and literacy specialist, and my hope is to utilize that space for evaluations. A lot of my work is outsourced in public schools, doing consultations and direct work with students. But the need of the space is specifically for evaluation purposes. Students are evaluated just on the basis of private appointments, so it's one student at a time. So really the space would be used as myself and a client at that time.
I guess in terms of, I'm also seeking at the time special permit as well to redo the second floor. We're referring to the garage building in the back, which is behind the house. At the same time, if she's allowed to get the special permit approved, then what I would like to do is take advantage of my construction crew and also develop the second floor, which has access in the rear of the property to the second floor for office space. Currently, I don't have a tenant for that space, but again, we'd like to take advantage of the time and construction without disrupting any further activity if and when she was approved for a special permit, along with the coffee shop as well. Pertaining to the construction of the buildings, currently, if you've driven by, you've seen that we've already added new doors, new siding to the print shop. We've added a new roof to the garage. Both buildings all need new plumbing, all need new electrical, new water lines, insulation, trim, new kitchens. So pretty hefty construction work involved on both properties. And as you can see the site plan too as well, we're making improvements to the overall area.
So before we move on to the next phase of this, any questions for the applicant at this particular time? We'll have plenty more time.
I was noticing the upstairs attic space, based on the photo, what is the height up there? Seems like it's very low-lying ceilings. Is it?
The height on the first floor is above 8 feet, and the second floor, it's just at 8 feet as well.
It is?
Yeah, you'd need some knee walls on the left and right side of the
Right.
building, because there where the roof dives down to the truss is pretty low.
All right.
Yep.
Mr. Lockwood, any?
I'll ask you, maybe Abby, just for clarification for the commission and also for my benefit, just to remind everyone, this is still 2 zones. The print shop is in the commercial center, and the garage that's proposed is in the center edge, so there's 2 zones. I understand that the applicant is considering making 1 lot, and Abby, maybe you want to just discuss the parking and how things work with our regulations regarding the 30-foot and, the how this 2 zones bordering impact this application. Maybe that will just before we open the public hearing.
Sure. So yes.
Public.
Yeah, as shown on the site plan, the applicant is proposing to eliminate the lot line. However, the zoning designation would remain the same. So you would essentially, if it's approved, you would have 1 lot with a split zone. There is a provision in the zoning regulations that allows the provision of 1 zone to carry 30 feet into the other zone. And you can have parking from 1 property or 1 zone located in another zone, provided there's access to a road in the least restrictive zone. So basically, even though this property would have a split zone, the parking configuration and serving the 2 uses would comply with the zoning regulations. And it's my understanding a lot of the driving force for eliminating that lot line was so there wasn't an issue with cross easements, parking spaces too close to the adjacent property line, and it just simplifies things from the zoning regulation standpoint to ensure there's compliance.
So if that were granted, it can't go back, correct? It would no longer meet the requirements for a split in the future.
So I would have to look at the regulations, but the applicant would have to come back before the commission for a subdivision or re-subdivision in order to split the lot again. And then at that point, obviously, parking location would be a concern because you would have parking spaces and driveways crossing property lines, so it'd have to be cross easements. So it would be a process.
We're going to be discussing this, I think, probably at least another time for that next session. Could you provide some clarification on minimum acreage for a split? I think the total combined piece of property I heard was 1.7.
And I do believe
Can I add something to
there's
that
enough
conversation?
acreage.
We tried to, we went to ZBA to try to split the lots and move it, and we do not meet the zoning regulations. So once it goes into one thing, we could not split it back again because it doesn't meet the regulations for depth or area.
I appreciate that. I'll ask Eddie to, just put a fine.
Yeah, I'll put that together for the next meeting.
Great, thank you. All right, any other questions before we, Mr. Lockwood?
Before we open up to the public, Mr. Vice Chair, a couple things I saw in the application. as well, that I think I'd just like to ask the applicant or the commission before we open it for public comment would be, you had asked for certain hours, I think 7 to 2 for the cafe. Didn't see any hours in the professional building, or if I missed them. Then I also saw there was a item for entertainment. Now I know the commission in the past, I think their hours start on that, you were asking 7 to 2, is that correct?
Yeah, regarding the coffee shop, I'll let Megan speak to that.
Yeah, the coffee shop.
Yeah, and regarding Tara's office hours?
Sure.
Yes.
So it would be 9 to 4.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Well-
So that's, Mr. Lockwood, we haven't moved on to the coffee shop yet, so we can either...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. So, Commission, would you like to hear the rest of the proposal and then move to public comment, or take it in half? I would like to hear the entire proposal.
Yeah, I think since we
it would make
combine them,
sense. Yeah.
that's sort of it would defeat the purpose to take a look.
Yeah. All right, so let's hear the other half of this proposal.
Hi, my name is Megan Peterson. I live at 4 Oakwood Drive in Granby with my husband and our 4 children. I was born and raised in Granby, attended Granby Public Schools, and have lived here for almost my entire life. We are applying for a special permit to open a small coffee shop and cafe at 256 Salmon Brook Street in the building that is known as the Print Shop. We have included in our application some information about the history of this historic building and are excited to be part of preserving this Granby landmark. The idea to open a cafe started last year at my son's tournament in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Any parent who attends travel or AAU basketball tournaments knows that there is a lot of downtime between games when parents get together and discuss all kinds of things. At this particular tournament, the parents unanimously decided that Granby needed a good coffee shop. My mom and I have spent the past year and a half exploring the idea, and after much research, thought that the print shop would be a great location. We plan to offer high-quality coffee products, a light breakfast and lunch menu, including breakfast sandwiches, pastries, sandwiches, salads, etc. We would initially be open daily from 7 a.m. until 2 p.m., but may want to adjust the hours slightly depending on demand. We would also like to offer the space to community groups to use for meetings or small gatherings or for small private events. Indoor seating would be limited to 15 seats. In addition, we plan to add a small patio with seating for approximately 25. We think the proposed coffee shop and cafe would be a great addition to the town center, providing an additional resource for members of the community to grab a quick breakfast or lunch or enjoy the outdoor patio area. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about our proposal.
Commission, any initial questions?
On the music, would you be willing to agree not to have the music after 2 p.m. if you're
Well,
operating?
the music, we
something?
weren't planning to do any amplified music. We were picturing more of like a guitar and one person, not like a whole rock band or anything amplified. We would be open to having it only until 2 p.m. But our initial vision, I guess, would be to, if it were to be at night, just to keep it very low and so it wouldn't disrupt the neighbors.
So we received commentary, talking about the old Five Dads and how loud it got.
Yeah, that wouldn't be anything that we'd be interested in doing.
Is music, live entertainment, is that something that you're looking as definitely to be part of this coffee shop?
It doesn't
Seems
have
like
to be.
it's-
Yeah.
Just because of where it's situated right next door to residential house across the street, it just seems like it might not be the appropriate place for live music.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think Chairman Lockwood was offering some commentary on the hours. If there's any desire to have longer hours, it would behoove you to ask for what I would consider to be a reasonably set of standard hours for a business like yours that's already in business in town, so that you don't have to come back.
Right. If you ask for 7 to 2, that gets written into the special permit, and then you decide you'd like longer hours, you would have to come back.
You'll be paying another
again.
fee, another public hearing, and coming back, whereas you could ask for hours similar to what Starbucks has. Yeah.
I think in our application, we had it until 11 PM, just because we will most likely have people there in and out, cleaning, employees. Did that,
We'll, if there's an interest, we'll work within what we believe to be a reasonable set of hours for a business like yours
okay.
that you're proposing. Any other questions? So before we move on to opening it up to some public comment, Abby, I note that there were a lot, this is an ambitious project, a lot of transformation going on the property. There were a lot of staff questions. There were a lot of town engineering questions. There were a lot of items that needed to be added to plans and formalizing the requests. It didn't look like the proposal and the plans were ripe for tonight. Is that a fair assessment, that the staff needs some time to work with the applicant to get all of those needed changes integrated?
Potentially, yes. So the staff comments reflected in my memo were on a previous plan version. This plan that's included in your packet was submitted, I think, on Thursday, so I have not yet had an opportunity to review it thoroughly to see if these comments have been addressed on the plan.
Engineering comments
Nor
as
has
well.
the town engineer
Okay.
had time.
So I mean, we can certainly take public comments, and
Of course, yeah.
I don't think we can close the application tonight.
I don't think so either. Do you have a question?
Just a comment. Brian from Dental Land Surveying.
Great.
Yes, I did receive Kevin's comments. I have made most of the changes, but I have not spoken with him. And yes, I do have additional things to address.
So you believe a continuation would be in order? Great. All right. Well, you'll get a chance to come back, as will others, but for the time being, I'm going to open it up to some public comment. In the public, if you'd remember the guardrails that I established, 5 minutes or less, please.
I'm Paula Johnson, 289 Simsbury Road, and I also happen to be an alternate. I'm excited. I really am seeing this property with some positive work being done. I think it's wonderful for the center. I think it's kind to the Granby Street and the people that live there. But I have a couple little comments. One is the road that comes in from Route 10 and comes out to Hartford Avenue. We know there are a lot of disrespectful drivers that will use that as a cut through. So my suggestion would be to put some sort of a speed bump, whether it's temporary, some way to make sure that doesn't happen. And I'm not sure how you do it, but I'm sure there is a way of doing that. So that is one. Let's see, I didn't put that's the driveway. As far as the business in the garage, I think that if I read it correctly, it's Monday through Friday. It would make more sense to me to also add Saturday if you need it. Because as Chris just said, if you suddenly have a need and you haven't got that permission for that day where you have that one person that really needs to see you, you don't have that ability to do that. So I would suggest that the applicant maybe think about doing that. I'm sure you'll talk about screening for the dumpster. And I'm also not a fan of music. I think a coffee shop is fabulous. I'm very excited about this application.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Any other public comments?
Hi, Suzanne Yuha, 32 Buttles Road. I'm here to speak on behalf of the coffee shop. I think it's an excellent idea. I have known Megan Peterson. Matter of fact, I almost stumbled on the last name because I knew her previously. pretty much all of her life, and her parents have set a great example for her. They have given much time to this town, and obviously Megan is following suit. I saw something a couple months ago about what our vision is for the center of town. I think a coffee shop is perfect. Everyone talks about how they want Granby to stay as a small town, and this is a perfect example. I think the fact that the name she has come up with for the coffee shop already shows that she is respecting the building and she is respecting the heritage of the town. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, we'll take a quick break from the room, and I'll go to Zoom. Is there anybody on Zoom who would like to comment? All right, we're going to go back to the room. Since we've already had a discussion about keeping this hearing open, there will be additional opportunities to speak at the next meeting when we regroup on this item. So with that, if there is no other comment tonight, we'll go back to the board or the commission. All right, so
I really think I'd like to see it in a more complete form before we have an in-depth discussion of it. That's my personal view.
Agreed. And certainly some of the feedback we've given on the hours of operation, maybe if we could get those memorialized, and then the documentation both for the medical, the business office portion as well as the coffee shop.
Yeah, I think that I would want to hear from staff and from our town engineer that all of the issues that were raised have been addressed before I'm comfortable deliberating and voting on it.
In regarding the request for outdoor entertainment / music, I would simply offer my views on it. For this particular use, it seems to me that, like a lot of restaurants that have outdoor seating but don't want to do anything with live entertainment, sometimes they'll just simply have a couple of speakers on the side of the building for some, light background music, some muzak, so to speak. I, for one, would entertain something like that, probably, as some of the other commissioners have already opined. The location just simply doesn't seem suitable for live outside entertainment, but certainly some sort of background music. I think if that was incorporated into an application, I would be willing to entertain it.
And I would agree with, I think, Commissioner Myers and our chairman, that I don't see this as a location where outdoor live music makes sense.
Well, I note that Starbucks does always have music playing when you're in there. It's not very good, but they have it. But they do not have any outside music. You don't hear anything from Starbucks until you enter inside of it. And that's, not that far away from here, center of town. And I have no idea whether there was an application on Starbucks' part to have exterior speakers or not. That was way before my time.
Any other commissioner comments for the applicant to hear or Abby to hear that we might want to see in the future application so it can be nice and tidy for us?
Just like to see a complete application with all the questions answered.
Yeah, I think it seems like that's what we're all looking for.
Yeah, I think the concept's really good for both applications before us tonight, and just like to see a polished application and go from there.
Eric?
Yeah, I'm very pleased to see this. I along with a lot of people in this room, I remember Lighten Up. Mm-hmm. And Lighten Up was a sad day when they closed up and left, because that was the center of community activity. You could meet the chief of police, you could see all kinds of town officials, and it was just a great place. I think this would end up serving the same role. And so I'm very pleased to see it. I guess I'm kind of a curmudgeon on the outdoor music.
Oh, you have some company.
Yeah, Lighten Up did just fine, and they never did anything outdoors. Everything was inside, and I would urge you to consider going that way, although I recognize others on my commission here wouldn't mind, but whatever, it's a close call. One last thing, no one will be surprised that I'm concerned about the planting of trees. I don't know what kind of trees you have in mind. I would only suggest that Granby is fortunate in having some excellent arborists in town. Don Ford at Stonegate Gardens, John O'Brien at O'Brien Nursery on Wells Road. These guys know a lot about trees and could give excellent advice on some planting in the area. And as time passes, the trees get big, and in 30 or 40 years, you could really have a heck of a nice showplace. So give it some thought.
Mr. Lockwood?
Well, I'll echo what everyone said. I think the concept's a good idea. I'm glad to see some work's already started, preserving the structure that someone said we've driven by a lot, and it's always been vacant. It's nice to see some life in there. And I agree with the comments to get the plans together for staff review and for our review. When we talk, I'd like to see maybe some more details on the site plan of how your traffic flow is going to go, ins and outs and that, because that's, I'm anticipating you'll be popular and, there's going to be people coming in and out. So, good work so far, and we'll look forward to when we continue this, we'll discuss it further.
All right, well, with that, we'll continue the hearing. All right, moving on to the next item, would you read it into the public notice, please?
There will be a public hearing conducted by the Planning and Zoning Commission on Tuesday, September 10th, 2024, at 7 p.m. in the Granby Town Hall Meeting Room, 15 North Granby Road, to hear and consider the following item. Application seeking a special permit under zoning regulations 3.5.4.3 for outdoor storage for a property located at 557 Salmon Brook Street, C2 zone, file Z-19-24. At the hearing, interested persons may appear and written communications will be received. Copies of the proposal a copy of the proposal is on file in the Community Development Office.
Very good. Is the applicant here to speak to the application?
Everybody left. I am Ken McCartney. I'm the owner of the building at 557 Salmon Brook Street. Also a proud resident of Granby for over 30 years. I purchased the building, I purchased the property as an investment. But shortly afterwards, I was encouraged by a town official to bring my business there, which I did. Over 20 years and some expansion, we began to need more space, and subsequently we started using some of the space out in front of the property for the storage of landscape materials, occasional parking equipment, and the like. Let's see. So with the approval of an addition that I'm putting on the building, I've been asked to apply for a special permit for the aforementioned storage. I'm here to respectfully do so. I'm not asking for any more or less activity that has been going on the property for the last 15 years or so. And I understand the committee has a duty to make sure that the property looks good from the street, and I share in that responsibility. I've submitted a landscape plan that will not only screen the property, but will enhance the look from the road. And we'll do so with fencing, landscaping, plant material, landscape lighting, and of course irrigation. That's my job. So the stored equipment will not be visible from the road, which is pretty much as it is now. And I'm happy to take address any concerns or questions that the board has.
So I'll open it up with some general discussion. I have always found your property to be extremely neat, tidy, and well-maintained, and agreed the building is set way back from the road, and there is already screening in place I would have been hard pressed to know what exactly was being stored or done in there that wasn't in compliance and needed to come before us. I do know there was some tree clearing in there recently, I believe, to accommodate the new addition.
The tree clearing, we had a pretty substantial line of pine trees going down the side of the property. They were becoming overgrown, entangled. A lot of them were dead or dying. I really actually did not want to take those down to open it up, but it became a concern for the adjoining property as parking, their parking lot came closer to our property line, and the trees are pretty nasty, dropping pine needles and branches everywhere. But we took those down, we put up a fence immediately, and we did start some planting, but as you can see with the landscape plan that I submitted, we have a lot more. I hired Bruce from Old Farms Landscaping. He's someone that I've worked for a very long time, hidden gem in town here. I do have pictures if you'd like to, I could pass these down if you'd like. This is what the property looks like from different angles.
So I do see the pretty extensive planning here, the landscape plan is whatnot. It appears that you have a pretty good commitment to maintaining the buffering from the street as well as adding to it, and then the fencing and the additional plantings to screen on the right-hand side of the property.
Yes, yeah. I specifically chose materials specifically on the south side of the property that grow big and fast. So the caliber we'd plant would be 4 to 6 inches, and they will be 25 or 30 feet tall within 5 years. I have one in my front yard. It's grows like a weed.
I've had my share.
No, I drove by there on the way down and had to actually turn around and go back because I couldn't even see it. It's very well landscaped out front. You know, you're doing a good job. The only thing I noticed was that spillover on the northeastern corner of the topsoil, definitely within the 50-foot setback.
It's got to go.
Yeah, it's got to go. It's got to get cleaned up. And that's the only area that looked unsightly. Other than that, you would never.
That material's left over from the construction, and it's been there for a while, and it really does need to go. I agree.
Are those containers on the property now?
Yes.
Same thing, I drove by, I wouldn't even know that they were there. I used to see them before, but now I don't even know that they're still there.
Yeah.
It's always been nice and tidy.
There was a question in our memo from the community development officer about the details for the stockade fence in terms of what materials you're planning to use.
It's wood. It's wood. But my philosophy on the fence is it's a good immediate barrier, but we're bolstering it up with forsythia plants, that type of thing, so that if the fence should sustain wind damage or anything like that, I want to be able to protect it from the wind. I want to be able to have a secondary source of screening there. So the fence is just the beginning part.
Eric?
I'm fine.
Okay. Mr. Lockwood, any comments?
No, I think stated this use has been there for a while, and the applicant's looking to have it in conformance to the rest of the plans, and I don't have any comments from what was said.
All right, I'm going to open it up to public comment. We'll see if there is any. So is there anybody in the room that would like to speak on this application? All right, seeing none, I'll move to Zoom. Is there anybody on Zoom who would like to speak on this application? All right, hearing none, I'm going to go back to the commission for our last time. I know that I gave a speech at the beginning that we would likely leave some public hearings open, possibly all of them. This one seems very cut and dry to me. The applicant has been de facto doing this activity for 15 plus years, as he's described. The property's neat, tidy. Wouldn't know the activities are taking place. I believe the applicant has put forth a solid plan to maintain that buffer and privacy. I don't have any additional questions. Any other additional questions?
One more question came to mind. You're removing your stone pile, your mulch pile, your topsoil pile. Are you going to put it back into that cleared area and put bunkers in there, or are you just getting?
No, nothing like that. It's basically the big pile that you referred to, as I said, that was from the original construction. I really do need to get that out of there. But what happens is we have mulch delivered, and then it goes out to the jobs.
Right.
Same thing with stone, sand. We have very small piles of those materials, but they're scattered around.
So you're not doing bunker system in there?
Nothing like that. No, we don't do, it's not a bulk thing. I mean, we bring out maybe a yard of sand, a couple yards of topsoil. It's not like a transfer,
All right.
type of station, that type of thing.
Any other questions? All right, well, I think that we've heard from the applicant. Before I close the application, any last words?
None.
The hearing? Okay. Well, with that, I'm going to close the public hearing on this item, and we have 65 days to respond, and we may not get to it tonight, but we'll certainly open it up for the board discussion at the next meeting.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
There will be a public hearing conducted by the Planning and Zoning Commission on Tuesday, September 10th, 2024, at 7 p.m. in the Granby Town Hall Meeting Room, 15 North Granby Road, to hear and consider the following item. Application seeking a special permit under zoning regulations, section 8.29.1.3 for a residential ground mount solar system for property located at 268 Simsbury Road, R2A zone, file Z-21-24. At the hearing, interested persons may appear and written communications will be received. A copy of the proposal is on file in the Community Development Office.
Is the applicant here to speak to us?
Hello, I'm Keith Gove, resident at 268 Simsbury Road. I am a fourth-generation Granby resident, and I am here seeking a special permit for a 12,000-watt ground-mount solar system to power a solar generator. And I believe I've met all the regulations in 82913.
Abby, why don't you go ahead and speak to that?
So as shown in the application materials in your packet, the applicant is looking to install a solar array that would be located just to the north of the house off the driveway. It would measure just over 57 feet by just under 12 feet overall, and just under 11 feet in height. So when you look at the layout plan provided by the applicant, it would be about 115 feet from the front property line, and that's the closest point. There is significant vegetation to the north of the solar panels. The neighbor to the south is a decent distance away, so it does not appear that glare would be an issue. So in the memo, I did outline point by point the criteria, so you can see that the proposed application does comply with section 8.29.1.3. I've just noted two items. The first is that all unused systems shall be removed within 12 months. So it's just something I want to make sure the applicant is aware of. And then I also just want to note that it shall be designed to primarily produce energy for consumption within the same lot that the structure is located in. It certainly sounds like that is the case with this
That is
system.
the case, and it's a lot of money, so it's not going to be taken down, the one-side builder.
All right, well, thanks for that clarification. If I have my bearings on this property right, I believe it's upslope too, correct? It doesn't look like there's any chance this could be seen from the street based on its upslope, the vegetation, and its proximity from distance from the street.
Well, maybe when you're passing the house, you'll get a glimpse of it.
Is this the house with one of the painted horses in the?
That is.
Yep, I'm familiar with the house.
Yeah, I do think you'd have to be looking for
You
it.
really have to
as
be
you
looking
drive by.
for it, yeah. All right, well, if it meets the guidelines that we've established, I would entertain it. Any additional questions?
The only question I have, and I ask every time, is about the glare, and I just want to make sure that the glare will not be towards the road, if there is any, because, you know, you can see coming around the corner there, you know, and neighbors, you said they're far enough away, so that's my biggest concern with the leaky soil panels.
No questions.
No.
Questions?
No question.
All right, well, without giving me one moment, I'm going to open it up to public comment. Is there anyone in the room who would come on up?
I figured I'd better since I'm a neighbor. I'm Paula Johnson, 289 Simsbury Road, an alternate. I've known the family 3 generations, not 4 generations.
Well, there's Amos.
Okay, that I do,
Henry.
right? I am back 4 generations.
Yes.
And I know the property very well. I used to ride my horse up behind where you are with the new property. And it is very well screened, and I think it's a wonderful idea. So I'm completely in favor.
Thank you for that. Any other comment from the room? All right, moving on over to Zoom. Mr. Lockwood, I didn't get a chance to ask you if you had any commentary.
Oh, I'm not bashful, but no, I'm good. Let me with the discussion so far.
All right, seeing no additional questions, I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment, and I believe the application is in order.
What happens next?
We have 65 days to consider the application and vote on it, but we will very likely, if we don't have time tonight, which we're running short of, we will discuss and vote on this application next meeting, which would be 2 weeks from today.
All right, and then I hear from.
Yeah, we'll follow up with you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Okay, so we have 2 items, number 11 and 12, to get to. Looking at the time, we actually are doing reasonably well on time. We absolutely, I have been advised by Abby that we must do item 12 tonight. There is a
Do
time.
we have any applications to receive, Abby?
No applications to receive.
Okay,
Thank you for that.
thank you.
Yeah, so I'm open. It seems to me that the 2 applications, as opposed to the first 2, the second 2 are non-controversial. I'm willing to take a quick stab at discussing them if we would like to do that. I think we can. I think we can do it.
I think so too.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take on the application seeking the special permit for the outdoor storage at 557. I think it's a great proposal. I think that the applicant has done a great job coming before us to comply with the requests that have been made of him, and has presented a very thorough plan, and I would open up to any other additional commentary.
I see no downside to it.
I don't.
Nope.
Done. Good.
Not at all.
Yeah, I don't see, I don't have any concerns about it.
Mr. Lockwood?
Nope, I'm good with it.
I would entertain a motion.
I move that the commission approve the application seeking a special permit under zoning regulations, section 3.5.4.3 for outdoor storage for a property located at 557 Salmon Brook Street, C2 zone, file Z-19-24.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Mr. Lockwood?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next item, which was the application for the solar array. Again, we've already discussed this briefly, but the applicant has checked all the boxes to our reasonably new reg, and I think they addressed the questions. I see no issues, and I would entertain a motion.
I move the commission approve the application seeking a special permit under zoning regulations 8.29.1.3 for a residential ground mount solar energy system for a property located at 268 Simsbury Road, R2A zone, file Z-21-24.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Yes, second the motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstain? Hearing none, motion carries unanimous. You'll let Mr. Grove know?
Yes.
Okay, so we are moving on to, we have received a request for a 90-day filing extension for file P-124, Cider Mill Heights, 10-lot FRD re-subdivision. Abby, would you like to speak to us about it?
Yes. So at the end of May, the commission approved a 10-lot FRD re-subdivision. This is the same subdivision that was approved many, many years ago, which expired, so it came back before the commission. Under state statute, approved subdivision plans have to be filed within 90 days. The applicant can apply for an extension. So the deadline to file those Mylars would be tomorrow or Thursday, so the applicant has requested an extension. They are working on some of their stormwater permitting through DEEP, and as they work through that process, which might trigger some changes in the plans, they've requested some additional time to get that completed. I just want to point out too, it is not uncommon for applicants to come before the commission for extensions for subdivision plans, so I don't have any concerns or issues with it.
Any questions or items for discussion? It seems reasonably straightforward, first extension.
It seems like he has an issue with the state or town, and he's got it working through it, right?
I don't recall that we've ever turned one of these down.
I'm not sure what the rationale for turning it down would be.
I don't know. I'm in favor of extension.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yeah, I don't have any issue with the extension. Staff's working with it. It's okay. So, and I would actually make a motion to grant the extension for this. Do we have to give a time, Abby? Is it another 90 days? Is that the maximum
Yes.
under statute?
Yeah, 90 days.
So make a motion to grant an extension of up to 90 days for this application.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstain?
Aye.
Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to staff reports and correspondence. Anything?
I don't have anything to report.
Ben, very good. Commissioner reports and correspondence.
I noticed that a lot of the hoop houses in the nursery, which is going to be the solar farm, have come down, so they appear to be moving forward.
Yes, yep, they are taking down the hoop houses. And I actually do know that they are working with organizations to find homes for some of them. I know they've been in touch with some of the schools and the ag programs to see if anyone wants them, and I believe Holcomb Farm as well.
Oh, that's good.
That's
I'm
good.
glad to hear that.
Gee, maybe I could get one.
Any
Don't
other,
hurt to ask.
Yeah, I know.
any other items of commissioner interest?
Any update on Frischies?
Yes, we did receive 2 proposals. The town manager and I are working with one of the proposers in more detail. So hopefully something will go back to the Board of Selectmen in the near future.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Has anybody noticed the wires are still down on Floydville Road from when that bad storm?
I did not.
Take a look. I mean, they're like dangling onto the ground, and I'm assuming the ones that are dangling on the ground are not live anymore, but,
Seems like a bad idea to leave them there.
yeah, I mean, it's a mess.
Cable communication maybe or something.
Yeah,
That they're not using anymore, it could be that type of thing.
could be.
It's not going to be power.
I'll look at that.
All right, well, I think that wraps us up. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.